Hey everyone, welcome to another typology interview. We have PersonaBelle. How's it going?
Hi, good, thanks.
Good. So if you don't know about PersonaBelle or anything about her, go check out her YouTube channel. She's got these little cartoons, 3D animation cartoons with voice on it, and the information there seems really accurate from what I've seen. So go check that out. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your history in typology before we get started?
Right, yeah, sure. I first came across the Myers-Briggs type indicator at university when I was studying cognitive psychology as a degree course, and I found it interesting. The unit that I was introduced to it through was called personality. So there were other methods of analysis that were being looked at as well. It wasn't just a Myers-Briggs type indicator, but they were considering it as an assessment tool, mainly to be used for deciding what sort of careers people wanted. And I found it to be interesting. I took the test, and also that wasn't my only introduction to Young, but also it did illuminate some of his work as well.
Yeah. Okay, so where you're getting all of your information from, so like that's where you started, right? How did you
Right.
get to your YouTube channel today? Was there another step in the middle, or just
Well, I've done a lot of observation and piecing together in my mind how I perceive the cognitive functions are working. Um, I don't stick to like one particular taxonomy. It's probably all the things from the different taxonomies that make sense to me that I've combined together, and I use that when I'm making my assessments as to which personality type I think has
right,
which characteristics for which reason.
right? And you got a little humor going on in there too, laughing at the types a little bit and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that it's important that I when I'm developing the characters in my interactions, there's two things I want to do. One thing, I want to show how the cognitive functions work in interplay, but also to show that characters have flaws, and there's no such thing as a perfect type. And all of us, regardless of our cognitive functions, we're going to have days where we hit up on situations where maybe we don't come off as well as we want to, or so I just try to keep it light-hearted and not to be too serious about things. But at
right,
the same time, I think it's important to maintain accuracy in terms of portraying the cognitive functions, because the whole point of it is to show the cognitive functions in a realistic sense, how I see that they would play out.
right. Yeah, yeah. You have a little bit of absurd scenarios there. I don't know. I haven't seen too much, but I've seen where like one person's in a padded room sort of thing, and they're talking to him through a padded room, stuff like that. So yeah, you're putting them in interesting situations at least. Yeah,
Yeah, because really, I see it as an artistic project, and I like to stimulate thought and get people thinking, and also to take things like the situations that are normal, but then sometimes put a little twist on it, like because there's a cryptic element to the writing that I'm doing, and sometimes there's like an underlying message intertwined within the animation, and that's down to the perceiver or the individual to see. If they see it, they see it. If they don't, they don't. And also, I like to keep the interpretation of the underlying message pretty open, so that basically it's sort of a self-reflective situation where the person's mind will be reflected back to them depending on where they're at. It will depend on how they will interpret and perceive the animation,
right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. Like you're trying to make sure that I don't know, everyone who's looking at it from whatever perspective they're looking at it, sort of gets something out of it at least. Maybe.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've tried to like put like a sort of a multi-layered facet in as well. So for that same reason, and because people are coming into, and this is a little bit side from what I just said, but people are coming in from different taxonomy backgrounds, different experiences, different understandings of cognitive functions. And I'm trying to create a point where it all kind of meets in the middle somewhere, so that I don't go too much into any direction that it sort
Right.
of would, you know, the
You're
universal.
playing safe. You're playing safe. You're not trying to. You're not
Well, I wouldn't say
over
playing safe.
interpreting.
I say trying to find a universal meeting point. That's how I
Okay.
would phrase it. Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Really good. So what are your plans with the YouTube channel? Are you going to keep doing it? It's like an artistic expression. You want to teach people cognitive functions. What's the whole? Yeah.
Well, it's kind of interesting, like because when I first started out, I just really wanted to create a 3D interpretation of the personality types because I wanted to like move away from the static sort of version and bring it into the first person because I thought it was a good way to communicate how the cognitive functions work. And initially, I didn't go into cognitive functions. What I did is I just created like an overall profile for each type. And then people were asking, because I spoke a little bit about the relationship perspective of each type, just a small amount. And then people were asking to see interactions um, between the types. So then I always did intend to move in that direction. So the intermediate point for me was to do the love paths. So I done a series on the personality types, sort of a general attitude towards love in relation to the cognitive functions, but I still hadn't gone into the cognitive functions per se, but used my understanding of the cognitive functions to create a slant. I didn't go into too much detail because obviously I have to take into account individual differences that are outside of the cognitive set, but it was well received. And then from that point, then I moved on to right, okay, so I've laid down the foundations. So then I wanted to move it into an actual situational interaction between the types. And that's when Type Saga was born. So that's kind of like the stepping stone journey.
Who was
So
born?
Type Saga,
Type Saga.
Type
Okay.
Saga. Yeah, that
Right.
came from an interaction, and then I realized that as I turned the cognitive functions into a character, that each character had its own journey and was going through its own developmental path. So instead of just doing, I have done some random interactions, but instead of just doing random interactions, I managed to link um, the situations together to create a trajectory
Right.
for which the characters can move and potentially develop along. So going into the future, um, I hope to show some character development. It's not cognitive function development per se, but some character development and to show how the cognitive functions might interplay into that type of form of development as well.
Yeah. Okay. Really good. Um, so so all that said, you're not sticking to any specific taxonomy. You're trying to see where all the taxonomies sort of agree in order to get something that can be valuable to everyone. You're trying to do some kind of. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that it's not necessarily where all the taxonomies agree. There are going to be some things that I may posit that some people
Right.
may think that is outside of any pre-existing taxonomy. But I think that with analysis, they could have the potential to see how it would make sense that a cognitive function could behave or manifest in that way.
Right.
Um, so I'm not really trying to just please all parties. It's basically, as I said, trying to find a universal point of agreement in my mind where I think that the cognitive functions lie.
Okay. It's like a starting
Yeah.
point sort of thing. From there you can sort of go in.
Yeah, because the thing is I do actually plan in future as well to do some live presentations regarding the cognitive functions and how I see the cognitive functions interplay with each other, including aspects of the shadow, how the shadow impacts the cognitive function.
Yeah.
And so everything I've done so far is just a sort of just to show my thoughts in motion, and also to show the situational interplay in a way that people can easily see and understand. Because some of the theories that I've been deriving run into quite a bit of complexity, and at this point, I don't want to conceptually confuse people. So what I need to do is just, I'm still clarifying and refining some of my ideas, but I really hope to present it in a way that is palatable.
Yeah,
Because I could just come out with all this stuff and it's like, what are you talking about? So
exactly. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
really
yeah.
trying to like, just trying to
Find a good mix between fun and conversation and stuff to deliver the information in a
yeah,
way that's organic,
yeah, and relatable as well.
relatable. Yeah, not just like a data dump. Yeah,
Right, that's it. Because
yeah,
I think one of the key words is situational. I really do think that the use of cognitive function varies with situations. So, for example, I say there's a personality type, think of a random type, an ESTJ. Their primary function is extroverted thinking, but there could be some situations that puts them into their feeling functions more than another situation that wouldn't trigger them to go into their feeling functions. So depending on the situation, it's going to depend like which functions are activated within a person. I do believe that situation plays a big part in the functions that are required to deal with that situation. So that's why a type can look different in a different situation, because they might be in a situation that activates emotion and they could look like a feeler, but that doesn't mean they're a feeler. So what I'm
hmm
trying to do is to look at the different variables that contribute towards functional manifestation and somehow
right.
portray that in an artistic sense so that people can really see that don't have this fixated view of personality types, and to give consideration to the situation in which the person's in as
Yeah,
to
so you
why they're
could control
behaving
that.
so rapidly.
Yeah, you could
Yeah,
control that. You could be in a situation that you want that could demonstrate how this function would come to play in this situation. Because it's a
right.
situation requires this function to be used, so the person is going to use it in that situation, right?
Yeah,
So like for an ISTP, for example, if you were to take ISTP Paul, stick him in a situation where he's required to, I don't know, a funeral or something like this, where he's required to like give sympathy to people, you'll see his extroverted feeling come out.
right. That's it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And who is Larry? What was going on with that? I didn't quite get that.
Um, Larry at present is a bit of an enigma.
Okay.
He may come to light in future on the channel. He's definitely going to be reoccurring in videos, and I'd say stay tuned because Larry's a very interesting character, and there'll definitely be more Larry coming. And Larry will
Okay.
reveal himself. Yeah, he
He
will
will
reveal
reveal
himself.
himself. Okay, so I'm
I
asking a
definitely will.
question.
Yeah,
I'm asking you to
yeah. You
reveal
need
to us
to
who
ask
Larry
Larry.
is.
Really, you need to ask Larry really, because Larry does what Larry does. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, looking
Mm.
forward to seeing more of Larry then. Cool. Is there anything else that we should talk about your channel a little bit? Some of the
Um.
characters, how they came about being. Are they based on real people? Things like this.
Yeah. Sure. I would say that all of the characters, in some way or another, have been inspired by sometimes more than one real person that I've known. Now, sometimes I squash a couple of people together, and then sort of add in a little twist to it. So it's sort of like a cocktail of people that I've seen or heard or interacted with, but then with their own sort of thing. It's not exactly like a carbon copy of anyone we've ever known, but yeah.
Right.
And and I think what was interesting about doing the series is that the characters are becoming quite self-reflective, it seems. Like I didn't really know that was going to happen. So it seems to be like an evolution process with the characters. So that's quite interesting. And in future as well, I plan to do like more diversity because I'm I'm really trying to appeal to like free thinkers. So it may be that one day there's a particular cartoon and you might think like, oh yeah, there's going to be more of that. Then it could just change and it could just be something quite different. So the format of presentation could like vary. So
Yeah, no, that's good so that we don't know what to expect and you're going in
mm,
it's going in its own direction and stuff. Yeah.
mm.
So like maybe some of your friends would like watch your cartoons and they say, "Was that me? Did you get that from me?" Or no, it's abstracted enough.
I think I've abstracted it enough, yeah.
All
Because
right.
I see people, for example, now he's turned out to be quite a popular character.
Oh, okay.
Um, he is based on partially based on an ISTP I've known in the past, but yeah, I have changed it um a bit, obviously, because he's a private investigator, so it's a bit different. Yeah,
Right. Cool. Awesome. So you self-identify as an INFJ? That's
that's
correct?
right. Hmm.
Yeah. How did you get there? What was the process in getting to that?
Well, initially I tested as an INTJ, and I didn't really think too much of it because I was more interested in the tool as a means of understanding other people than myself. But when I came back to revisit the theory and thought about it more, because I did have a break from it, and then I was like, mm, I don't know, it's all fit, but so I think the NI aspect fit well, but not all of it.
Right.
And then when I was revisiting it, then I thought I definitely fit. I have extroverted feeling, and my extroverted thinking is not. I'm not. I'm not good with it at all. So then that on that functional switch, then I managed to change it over.
Okay. So you, because of the way the test tested you, you saw yourself as an NI Dom, and then you saw
Right.
that you're not doing the TE FI axis, or at least your TE is really bad. So you must
Yeah.
be on the FE TI axis, something like that.
Also, I identify with TI very strongly.
Okay.
So that's like a clue. And there was something else. Yeah, with the test, I've tested as a 90-day more than once. And I think that the way that they measure the FE, um, like for example, like during university, I was like spending a lot of time studying and I wasn't interacting with people. So when they asked questions to do with FE, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then it didn't really take into account that sometimes extroverted feeling isn't acted upon. A lot of the tests talk about your actions. So I think that's what part of the mix up was anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, I wonder if you would be typed differently in different systems, or how do you see yourself with that, like in objective personality, or in socionics, or in something else?
I think that with through the lens of objective personality, I think that I would be seen as NITI,
Okay.
but I
Yeah.
do think I do use my extroverted feeling when in situations that requires it.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Um, d what? Okay. So what do you want people to know about your channel, that just not to take it too seriously, or to take it seriously because you're trying to deliver, you're trying to be serious here, or somewhere in the middle, have fun?
I just like people to watch it with an open mind, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I don't. I mean, I was thinking like about in future that what I'm thinking of doing is to add a little bit more context to the animation so that people can get an idea of where I'm coming from with it, because I have really left it up to people to just really decide for themselves how they perceive it.
Right.
I, I would say that the cognitive function usage is serious. Like the uses of the functions and the situations that functions are being displayed in um, is intended to be on point, like in alignment with
Yeah.
the cognitive functions. But with the stories and I throwed in the humor surrounding it. So the stories aren't all there's some jokes in there. There's definitely some jokes in there, but I suppose it's down to the perceiver if they can differentiate between, you know, what's
Right.
really cognitive functions and what's just thrown in for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, I mean, like it's even the jokes are just. I guess it's like taking the stereotype a little bit too far sometimes. The
Yeah,
joke,
yeah. To
right?
make to make to make a point. Sometimes it's
To make a point, right?
maybe a little bit satirical, and a
Right.
little bit
Exactly.
of in, like, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of like depending on people to be able to spot it, like as that's part of the the their perceptual processes.
That's right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So also, so I didn't even think about that because like that's what I was spotting when I saw the humor. It's like, oh yeah, you're like overemphasizing this stereotype, which is what I do
mm,
sometimes just to make jokes as well. Just like
yeah,
so, like how ISTPs Paul just gives like short one word answers. I'll do that too, just
yeah,
to yeah.
yeah. Because and also to show diversity, because there's obviously there's some ICPs that are more talkative than others, And the thing is,
Right.
when I choose one character, I can't really portray all the other ICP
The
characters all at the
spectrum of
same
them. Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sort of limited, so I have to just kind of like choose one, and then hope that people will understand that this character isn't representing all characters, but the cognitive function usage is there. He is using TISE,
Right.
NIFE, but he's not representing character wise all ISTPs. So yeah,
Okay. So we have John here. He wants to know if you're from the UK.
yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, I think that's really good. So go check out PersonaBelle on YouTube. The link's in the description. Anything else you might want to add?
Um, no, just hopefully you'll enjoy it and
Yeah.
look out for what's coming.
Yeah. Look out for what's coming. Awesome. Really great. Okay. Have a good one,
Yeah.
everybody. Bye, guys.
Yeah.